As a follow-up to the heater removal and strip down video, here commences a video on the rebuild. Enjoy it. Does my hair look weird? Probably. Before we get in, can you check and subscribe please, even if you think you are. If you're not subscribed, why ever not? Click the dingy bell, give me the thumbs up, give me the thumbs down if you absolutely must. Comment down below, it's all helping the channel to grow. If you want to contact me, bear in mind there's only one of me, it might take me a little while to respond, but I will. Church House Classics, and that's all one word, at gmail.com. And if you would like to support the channel, this nonsense, then please use the PayPal link scrolling down here. Enjoy the feature. Right, while we're waiting for heater parts to turn up, the customer asked me if I wouldn't mind recovering these, partly because I think the glue that was used to apply the fabric was a bit rogue, partly because they look really lumpy and baggy. It's not a stretch vinyl that's gone on here, but I guess mainly because the fabric material that's been used here is completely wrong. That's the material, if you can see that. Can you see that? Oh, I hope so. That's the material that you use on a standard Range Rover, and this is what's gone on. It's like an elephant hide versus a grain. See the grain? See the elephant hide, and you can see how crisp that looks and how baggy that looks. Now I suspect, in fact we can go and test it. Ah, sunny day today, lovely day. What I've done is put the bloody knife over there. I'm not very good with knives. Now, if I position that there, get hold of the vinyl, it has got a little bit of stretch, but nowhere near as much as it should. Now, let's find a tripod. Monsieur tripod. Right, here we go. This is the stuff that Paul Atkinson has sent me over. And you can see that this is the correct type of vinyl. Still didn't have a lot of stretch to it though. We're going to see how easily this goes on. I suspect, for fuck's sake Richard, go up there you fucker. I suspect that when it goes on I'm going to need to concentrate on this edge here, and then wrap it around, because we've effectively got one flat face there, one flat face there. I get the feeling there's going to be quite a lot of wastage on this. We'll see. Right, so I've taken one of the trims off. You saw me just trying to stretch it just now. And this panel really is. It's twisted and buckled and bent. I need to clean all this crap off, but that's going to be probably just things on a rag. The top edge, I'm not really worried about the top edge because it gets hidden underneath the roof anyway. And the rest of it looks okay. This one I'm a little bit more worried about, because once I take it all off, it's got some damage in there really, isn't it? So I don't know, we might have to put a skim of filler over that before we put the vinyl on. But anyway, that's the joy that is my joy today, while I'm waiting for heater motors and heater matrices to turn up, and we can get the heater back together again. Right, so if you've not seen the strip down video, there's not much more, but this is pretty much where we left off. So we've got a nice cleaned plastic heater box. I didn't show you, but I did manage to effect the repair to the broken vacuum fresh air vent. So more or less exactly as I said. You draw a line across the top here, you drill a hole straight through, wedge a pop rivet in there. Then I used some of the Q-Bond material, which comes in powder form, and you put a super glue over the top of it, and that's pretty robust. I'm not going to try and snap it because I don't want to, and all I really need to do is just use the Dremel just to snip the end of the pop rivet off, and then it'll work. So that can go back on in a second. Now, there's my box of fixings there. The other thing I have done is I have bought a new matrix. Dear. Right, just putting hands behind back. I don't know how this box fucking opens. It looks like it opens on the top here. And no, it doesn't. There, it opens on this side. Silly arse. Right, and we're open. Okay, right, so we have in here one brand spanking new matrix, well protected, because obviously we don't want to be breaking off these pipes, and that can more or less go straight in exactly as it is. I'm just hoping that we don't have excuse me, a resurgence of the issues we had a fair few years ago now, where one of these failed on me. So I'm going to give it a go. That can go in. That's fairly straightforward to pop that in. So you might need to step back just a little bit. If you come back here and I raise the legs like that, and then like that, that might work. Yes, that might work. And then hopefully you can see what on earth is going on. You can. Great. Okay, so we've got two halves of the matrix. One half needs the motor and the matrix, and the other half is really just all the flaps. So this piece can go out of the way for the moment, and I can concentrate my efforts then on the motor side of things. So if you remembered from the previous episode, the motor's just looking very grubby. The customer said replace it, so I'm replacing it. Now, remember they used to write top on the box to save you 14 days of trying to work out where the fuck it needs to come apart from. Now, these motors, when they arrive, they come with a load of extra shite on them, which is a pain, I'll be honest. The yellow and the black are the two wires I need. They do actually come with a harness. If I can get the bag open. This is cracking footage today, Richard. Raw. Right. Fucking thing. Right, it's in. Right, so the harness then will have a connector that matches that exactly. We are looking then at the red and black wires, which go through to red and black, goes through to black and yellow, and black and yellow goes down to the motor, so that's pretty good. So the issue you have with these is that this motor, and you can see how much more beautifully that spins than the old one, which just feels a bit grittier, raunchy. So it's probably on its way out. Now, the key thing with these motors when I get these is that they have this little kind of tab on the side here, which needs to come off. Now, that's all well and good, you're thinking. Just get the drill out, drill the bastard off. The problem with that, folks, is that you've got two hulking great magnets in here, and all the swarf and everything, well, they're going to get attracted to it, aren't they? So you have to wrap it up before you grind it off. Let's see if we can't get this. So I bend the tab back, take that off. Now, those two there, they join in to that piece there. So what I basically don't need, I don't need this piece. This piece is not required for this installation in a Range Rover Classic. So what we can do is we can just double check the damn thing works before we start snipping wires, and finding ourselves in a position where we can't get the warranty back. How does that go together? That goes in there and there, I think. And I know the original cover came with the kind of the relay thing on it as well, but when you look at the loom that goes in to the connector here, it only actually uses the top 2 pins and not the bottom 3. So it doesn't need the variable resistance. All it does is it runs the power straight through, live, flat out. So on that basis then, hold it, it's pushed the wire out there. That's a good crimp, isn't it? In fact, we probably could extract some of these because we just do not need them. So we don't need green. We want yellow. We don't need blue. That can come out as well. But green can come out. So it doesn't help with what I was actually going to do here, which is test it. And we've got 2. Just going to get the Power Pro. Right, so we could kind of do with 3 hands here really, but we can do it with 2, I think. Well, that's a thing of beauty, isn't it? So that works just on the 2 pins at the top there, which is good. Because the key thing there was I just wanted to be absolutely sure that there wasn't a fault in the motor before, as I say, I start chopping it around. Now I'll show you what it is I do to these, because there's 2 different types of motor that you can get for the classic Range Rover, and this was actually advertised for the classic Range Rover, but as you can see, there's that extra bracket on the side. Right, so what I really want to do here is I need to snip these 3 wires here, go onto that relay, because it just gets in the way. Excuse me. Snippety fucking snippety snip snip and snip. That comes off. I can then hopefully pull. Green wire can come through. Blue wire we don't need. Is that going to come out of there? What actually holds the wire in? One of those. So a small flat blade screwdriver will do that. No, is that flat blade? That is flat blade. Let's get the. I must have used it to unblock the nozzle on the seam sealer gun because it's all covered in seam sealer. Right, and then that can go into blue. Come on, you bastard. There it goes. You fucker. Might just end up getting cut off at this rate. This blue is out. That yellow can stay there. So those are the bits we don't need. Right, and the other bit we don't need is this piece that's spot welded on here. Now all I tend to do here is essentially wrap a bag around here, put tape around the top there and go in there with a belt sander. And drill through the spot welds until I can't get them off. Sometimes they come off, you can just prise the damn things off, and sometimes they don't. So let me get myself organised with that. And I just had a bag just now, didn't I? I end up with something like that. I could try the spot weld drill first and foremost. Let's give that a go and see what happens. Right, I had to use the belt sander and the Dremel in the end. These spot welds were far more resilient than I found them to be in the past. So that bracket, or remains of that bracket, sat kind of like that across the middle. So Dremeled either side of the centre spot welds, belt sanded the outer spot welds, twisted it, and off it come. And there we go. Right, now, this bastard can go in. So they can go in the scrap bin, don't need those. This chappie now needs to filter into this end of the housing. Now, that needs to go probably out. Otherwise it's just going to get in the way. That needs to go in there. and you will kind of, because the fan will want to rotate whilst you are trying to put the bloody thing in, it does become a bit of a kerfuffle. And we will give it a go. Sort of going in. The trick is to make sure that the wires go down the little channel there. And once this thing is right in as far as it will go, that's kind of what you're looking for there. And that is going in, and I think that's as far as it's going to go. So we are there now. So once again, I could test this out in a second, but what I'll do is I'm probably going to assemble the rest of the unit. But that actually ends up being quite a snug old fit in there. And I don't think that's going to go any further. I don't want to push too hard. But as you can see, it was a reasonable amount of resistance to get it in there, so I'm not anticipating it's going to fall out anytime soon. So that can go there. Right, now we've done that, we now need to put, in fact, do I test it first and foremost? I think we test it first and foremost, don't we? Make sure we're not actually going to end up hitting anything. So I'll power probe out again. Extra harness, which is there, that then plugs into there. Click and power probe. Want that onto the black wire. I want power probe onto the red wire or yellow wire. Seems happy enough. Right, so the next trick really is going to be to put the two halves of the clamshell together. That's why I put the power probe away, you see, because otherwise there's bloody cable all over the place. But I'm going to need it out because I'm going to need to test again. So when it comes to assembling the two halves of the clamshell, pretty much a reversal of the separation process. There's a couple of things that you'll need to be aware of. First and foremost, that flap there needs to go behind this lip here, and there's a couple of tabs that need to go into the housing as it all kind of loosely bolts together. What we mustn't forget before we go in, what we really mustn't forget is the matrix, because if we forget the matrix, I can't say matrix enough times without getting this YouTube channel demonetised. So we'll put the matrix in the other end. You're not missing a lot, folks. It goes in, wedges in, and do you remember we had that blanking plate, the one I couldn't get out, which is now probably in this box of bits here. There it is. Thought for a second then it might have been taken up. Nope, found it. So that chappy then needs to slip down into here. Thus, and that kind of holds the pipes really where they want to be going to. There's still a reasonable amount of flexibility on the matrix and it moving around, so that's a good thing. That's good. So matrix and motor go into one end, and then we need to line this lot up on the other. Now, why isn't everything all going to get in the bloody way, aren't they? Because that's just the sort of thing that they do. So that wants to go. Have we? No, because it's there. Right, so all the flaps are currently roughly located. That flap wants to go in there. You'll figure this out, folks. I think if you can't figure this out, then there's not really an awful lot I can do in this video to help you. Naughty flap at the bottom there is just getting in the way. That wants to go in there. That wants to go up there. In there, up there. in there. For fuck's sake, Richard. I have struggled with these in the past because the flaps tend to fall out as you're putting them together. There's not really an awful lot you can do about that, I'm afraid. There'll be a negative for that, I'm sure. I'm sure someone will neg me. Why is that not going up? That wants to go up. I put that on the road. Right, that's upright. Right, that's upright. That's upright. That looked a bit better. That looks like it's all kind of going in the right sort of places. That's in the right slot, and that is going to be in the right slot when it eventually goes together. Now I need to line that up there, and this front fascia plate needs to go into the slot on the front, which you can't see, and I'm struggling. No, it's in now. A tab there needs to go into that slot, and there's a tab up here that needs to go into that slot. I don't know if that helps. Now, slowly start to manoeuvre together. Remember that the fresh air vent is the one kind of locks everything, causes all the pain. Sometimes I've had to pull these things apart again, so we're going to avoid that. Oh look, what we've done here is we've lost the back flap. Where the fuck has that gone? It's there. So that wants to go. Why is the matrix caught there? Matrix has actually come out of its bloody slot, is what's happened. Right, you go back into your bloody slot. Right, matrix is now in its bloody slot. This can go back on again. That goes onto there, and that pushes together slowly. We're almost there. Now, what will need to happen is these flaps. So the flaps from each half need to go into the corresponding holes on the other half. That one is more or less lined up. That one is a mile out. That's the one that normally causes me all the bother because it's very difficult to access. That one is more or less lined up. That one will go in. And all I use is a screwdriver to line things up. Now, where's this one gone? There it is. Whoopsie. That's in, and then this one is going to be a pain. This one is going to be a pain. That one's in. That one's in. Oh, that's just dropped out, you fucker. That's back in. This one is going to be in. It is. It's in. And then we've got this one is in. What about this one down here? That one's not in. Is now in. It's then they're all in. That was it. And then I've got the two main slots are connected. I'm going to need to double just check that all these flaps actually are operating. That one's operating. That one will operate. That one's operating. That's good. Right, so I think what I do next is I'll just put a couple of the clips on. Hold the clamshell together. Fun and games, eh? And then we've got the joy of putting this thing back in the car again. Shouldn't take too long though, should it? That goes in. Comes in. The screws on the back here. Happens in. There's one up there. That one's in. Where's the other one? Two underneath the front here. There's one. And here's one. Right, now we've got all the clips on, screws on the back, and then we need to align the flaps and make sure they're all going to operate. Which shouldn't be too much of a problem. I don't think. Hey, it's live. Slippery. You see what I mean about these round circlip things here? I don't know if you're looking. Are you looking? You are sort of looking. Ah, that's an important one though. The battery's about to run flat. And you'll be thinking, good, no more of this shit then. And you know what, you're probably right. Because if I wasn't videoing this shit, I could have the radio on. Right. Yeah, so now I put this screw in here, that's all held nice and tight. So I don't know if the two round things are just kind of popped on there as part of the assembly process or what, I couldn't tell you. I thought there was a third screw. No, that's it, just two screws. Right, so that's those. Flaps. So I've already done the base flap. I know that one works. And we'll do this one. I can fiddle my fingers in there. That's roughly there. We just need to double check that that is going to be right once everything is all in place. So that one works. And then we've got this one, which disconnected off here during the assembly process. Is that right? It's got to be right. That is right. Whoops. That goes on there. That goes up there. Because do you remember this wasn't connected, or it wasn't connected at that end when we took the whole thing apart. I think it's in. Right, now, as I operate the hot and cold mechanism, right, it's operating 1, 2, 3 flaps. So I think that is good. What I think is wrong is I do think this is on the wrong way round, which is probably why it fell off. That looks better, doesn't it? I don't think that goes any further. Take that out of there. That only goes up that far. So that is adjusted. Right. A complex-ish arrangement of levers on the side here, for hot and cold. See that? But that's pretty much how it should be. That's beautiful. Right. Okay, next we need to be sure that the motor is centralised. Is it going to grate? Yes, it is. So it needs to go in a bit further. Now this is the problem I had before, that the motor, the tabs on the motor wouldn't go in quite as far as I wanted them to go in. And I did on the last one have to Dremel off the lugs around the motor up here, because when I connect this up it's going to make a noise. Do this now, we don't need the extension cable anymore. So black. Good, just kissing. And that was the problem I had last time. To try and push this down a smeg further. The danger is, if it's going to kiss, it's going to kiss. I don't want it to start kissing halfway through, so I'd rather push it back in just a millimetre or two further. So that's the tab. Get my camera to fucking behave itself. This little tab up here is the one that I've had problems with, because it's stopping me from pushing the motor back into the housing as far as it needs to go. And what is actually rubbing is the front of the fan is in danger of just hitting the plastic cowler. You can hear it's not at the moment, but it might do after 5 minutes of operation, which we don't want. Black and yellow. Just check we got it in the right orientation. Yeah, it's definitely blowing out from the top. Right, now the goop. Goop. Right, so I'm going to have to grind that tab off. Be quiet. There's no other easy way I can really do that. Take those two little tangs off, push the motor back in about 0.5 millimetre, and that's all it really needs. And then put some Q-bond at the top there just to hold everything in place. And now the motor, because it's tightening its housing anyway, it's not going to move backwards or forwards. and it's beautiful. That'll do the job. Right, now let's get the rest of this thing back together again. Nothing particularly nasty with the reassembly. The key thing really is that when you put it back into the car, be sure that the top of the dash is either removed or is loose on all its fixings, because otherwise you snap that pipe off down there.